good at it. You know, it's weird when you like watch yourself back on like a recording or something, and then trying to like analyze it and figure out how you can be better at it.
Yeah, so yeah, my notes to myself all the time are stop saying stop stuttering, and be more expressive. But yeah.
I'm trying to talk louder, and I'm trying to cut you off less.
Yeah, also like, trying to cut you off less too. But it's kind of weird if I like feel excited about talking about something on a podcast, then I tend to talk over people, and so it's kind of like I have to dial myself back a little bit sometimes too.
Yeah, your YouTube person and your real person are similar, but not quite the same.
Yeah, it's
personality, so to speak.
I think that's for everybody pretty much. I mean, I would say like nobody just gets on camera and like just starts like talking. And
there might be a couple of people it works for, but for most people, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's planning, and some of it is thinking about what you're going to say, you know. And so, I mean, everybody's kind of curating what they're going to put out there, and you know, stuff like that, and just trying to be better on camera and stuff. I mean, I think it's pretty normal, but yeah. I thought it'd be fun to go through a couple of comments here. So we've been at this podcast thing for probably a couple of months here, and we've got a couple of comments, not that many, but thought it'd be pretty fun to
I have to be honest with you, I don't really keep up with the comments very well. So
you don't?
Maybe.
And that's what, yeah. So we have.
I know you're good about it.
Yeah, and it reflects. I'm not very good at it either, so I just kind of like to post and then kind of go about my week. So I mean, this obviously isn't like a job or anything. It's a once a week type of thing, and we just kind of come here, and it's like a good way to make some extra content, basically. And yeah.
And to talk about things that we are passionate about.
Yeah. And so we have, so I saw Jason's comment on some of the Fuji X100 series videos. He seems like he was really, really into our X100 videos, and he was interested in that. And speaking to us, not answering the comments, he seems y'all not too plugged into the community or care to respond to folks' comments. That's one way to get and keep subs, you know. Have a good 2020. So he got really mad.
Bummer.
And so before that, he said, what feature would you pony up for the X100V? And so he was wondering.
Oh, like what extra things to have on that?
Yeah, so Jason, you're going to get your question answered right now.
I like that Garmin. I used to have a sweet Garmin case for it that I thought was really, really sweet. I also, because I would take that thing sometimes, like, because it has a sweet 35 on it, I'd use the teleportrait.
I think he was. Yeah. Oh, okay, I think. Well, he did ask about accessories too. So
those accessories are really good.
Yeah, so
those are the two I'd have for sure, and maybe one of those little thummies. Like I liked having that thumb mate one. That was kind of pricey.
Yeah, and then he also said, "What feature would make you buy an X100V? Is there like a certain feature?"
Me? Oh man, not really. Like, because the trouble I have with that lens or with this is I can't change the lenses, and since I have so many of the other ones, it just doesn't really fit in my kit anymore. But man, if I was shooting that only one as my only kit, I would definitely just keep buying the newest one because it's awesome.
Yeah, maybe if that was like your wide camera, and then you just had like your 56 on the other one or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'd probably just keep curating every time.
Yeah. All right, and then we have a positive comment. So
no, you make it sound so horrible. Sorry, folks.
Now, I don't want to mispronounce your name. I think it's Amen. Amen. A-M-A-N. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but he says, that's how me and my friends debate. We are as clueless as you, but we beat around the bush. Happy New Year. So, yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. A lot of times we're kind of just talking based on opinion or just kind of...
It's true, we don't like premeditate any of this stuff. Yeah. We just like, today we're going to sit down and talk about this topic, or we're going to talk about that topic. Yeah, it seems like the more we try to plan, the more it makes me go crazy a little bit. So yeah, you're more of the planner, so it's definitely hard to sit down and plan out like I'm going to list off the specs of this camera and talk about these things specifically. But we generally have shot so many cameras or have an opinion on something that we can talk about it for a good amount of time. So I don't know. I think it's just kind of getting a perspective from some like working photographers, and it may not necessarily be like like a lot of the podcast stuff isn't necessarily like informational like a lot of YouTuber stuff. So like,
Right. It's just
yeah,
more opinion based and just
yeah.
like
But yeah, it's kind of a
through
fun way
the
to make content. I think, if you start, like some people really do want to start up a YouTube channel where they sit there and they talk about specs more and like photograph a brick wall or something. But
yeah.
I don't know, it's just not very enjoyable. I guess if I when I was first starting out and I was more interested in lenses and stuff and I was figuring it out, then if I feel like if I was making that content like 5 years ago, then I'd be more interested in
I was
making
always kind
stuff.
of interested in a few things when I
Yeah.
was like seeking out photographers. It was like and like what they could do. I like to know their opinion and like what they're good at and stuff, and like what specific skill that they like bring to the table. Because some photographers just focus on one or another type of like photography style or photography thing over and over, and that's
Yeah.
what they're known for. So like I like to kind of know more about that sort of kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and the other thing is I like to see the pictures. You know what I mean? Like without seeing the pictures, it's hard to know if the photographer is good or not. So like I'd always
Yeah.
like if I was watching a YouTube video, even still now, I'll kind of just zoom forward to the pictures because I want to see the
Mm.
pictures. You know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like lens reviews have a sort of like a utilitarian purpose. Like you're thinking about buying one, and then like I think a lot of people will go into YouTube, type in the lens, and so
Right. Try
they'll
to convince themselves to buy it.
yeah, yeah.
Sort
And
of thing.
so I think the most commercially viable video for those people who are kind of searching out those and who might like really like the video, or a video that's going to be like, these are the specs and this is how sharp it is. I took a picture of a brick wall, and so a lot of people are really into those videos, and I see why. But again, like, I don't know, it's just not very fun content to make a lot of the time.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. And especially if you have just that formula over and over again. Like we do
yeah.
that, we're gonna do that for some of our other stuff. But like for this, we want it to be more free form and more opinion based. So like it's polarizing for some people, I suppose.
Yeah, people get really worked up around photography gear. Like, I think a lot of it is when you're first starting out, you feel really attached to the camera
Right.
brand,
Or
or
like you fell in love with this camera, so it
yeah,
can do no wrong, and everyone else is
yeah,
crazy for not using it.
right. I think, yeah, when I first started out, I feel like I'm pretty camera neutral nowadays. Like, I can look at any
You could
camera.
use any
I
camera
I
now.
don't,
Like it
yeah,
doesn't really matter as long as they
I
have
don't,
the primes
yeah,
that you
I don't
want.
really feel an emotional connection to any cameras. Like, it's just kind of like
I still do.
you do.
Yeah, I still feel like that,
Yeah,
but like I don't feel like because I have this camera, I'm better than the person that has that camera. Like I feel like that's kind of silly. Like
yeah,
if you met Jimi Hendrix and you gave him $100 guitar or $1 million guitar, that like you could make them both sound amazing. Like it's not
yeah,
that; it's something else
yeah.
that makes him amazing. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that for sure. Just looking back at like great photographers and stuff and seeing what they shot on, and it's like all of our options today are like 10 times better. And I can look at just about any camera brand and I'm gonna be like, okay,
Yeah,
like this is what I
it's
like
just
about
the
this camera
tool,
brand.
you know.
Yeah.
It's like going to Home
Um,
Depot and getting a bunch of tools. Like some of them are a little
yeah.
better than the other ones, but they could
I
all
used
build
to
the same
feel,
thing.
I think before I shot other camera brands besides Canon, I felt like I was always trying to justify my cameras and stuff. Like I was always like, oh yeah, like this is why I
Because it
love it.
didn't
This is
have
why I
this
love
new
it.
tech a lot of the times.
I think so, and maybe I just like hadn't shot anything else, and I was
Right, so you didn't really have much else to compare it to. So you just
yeah,
thought it was the best. So it was what you had.
yeah, but yeah, nowadays, I think a lot of people maybe hear like somebody being like, oh, this camera brand isn't good at this or something, and they spend a lot of money on the camera, and maybe it just kind of
Yeah,
makes them emotionally angry. Um,
that's a possibility.
yeah,
Or they just find like a photographer they really like and they figure out what gear they use and they just like, this must be what I need to make
mm,
that look. Nothing else is going to be for me. And so,
yeah.
I get it. I get it.
All right.
Photography can be a very subjective,
Yeah. All
and
right.
cause some heated debates.
Yeah. Oh, this is a nice comment. So on the Fuji X-T4 rumor video, this guy just says lowercase BS. Um, I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, okay, like, I mean, it
I
could
mean,
be,
it's all speculative. We don't
yeah.
know.
I mean,
Nobody really knows
yeah. I
except for
mean,
Fuji.
yeah. It definitely could be bullshit. I mean, we don't really know any of this stuff. We're not like Fuji insiders, so
Yeah, we're just
yeah. But I wonder
fans that like to talk about it.
what lowercase just BS, no space or anything, is supposed to do. Like he wants other people to see that,
I
and
think it just
so
means you don't like it.
um,
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, he's mad at the rumor video. I don't know.
Why is a better video on his side?
Oh, I like this. Okay, so this was pretty interesting. So we released a video on the $14,000 white Leica M10P, and
Yeah, I didn't think that was a very practical camera to own. I still think that.
yeah, same here. But yeah, we did have one comment, and I think when people comment and they give us like criticism or something, I think it's interesting if they like ask like some good questions or just think about it a little bit more. So this guy said, I can't get your point. Why an active photographer would not use it? And why is a M camera not going to make you a better photographer? I'm a Leica shooter, and since I use an M10, I feel like I'm learning so much more because it is much harder to use than a mirrorless or DSLR. Okay, so
Well, harder doesn't necessarily make you better.
yeah, I would agree with that.
I feel like that's kind of like a disconnect that some photographers have. They're like, if I make it really hard, if I stand on one ball with my right foot while I get this exposure, I am gonna make the best shot you've ever What? Who cares? Like, you just have to get the shot. However you got the shot is how you got the shot.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're all kind of getting to the same point, but then people are so like hipster about
I got this shot, but it was harder, so I had to work harder for this. So like, but at the end of the day, it's still the art. It's still the shot, the composition, the colors, whatever.
Yeah, I think of like kind of practical things sometimes. So like if you're out shooting and let's say you're like a street photographer, right? And so I actually think the most practical thing that people don't really talk about that much is like a quiet shutter. So like if you are going out, and then that's it's probably going to save you from getting beat up if you're an aggressive street photographer possibly, and it's going to make you less shy to take photos and stuff. So I mean, I think maybe buying a Leica because the shutter is quiet. I mean, even though there's many
but
other.
It's white. I mean, like, maybe if you're doing street shooting, like in the Arctic or like in Russia or something where it's snowing all the time, but otherwise, I mean, it's I mean, it's really obvious to people,
stands
right?
out. Yeah, that's a good point too.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I think it's a cool camera, and if I had the bucks to have it and sit on a shelf, I'd use it. But like, I'm not going to use it every day. But some photographers should and would. I'm just not.
But anyways, Julio, I think it's cool that you thought about it more instead of just commenting one word, lowercase BS or something. So
and it's cool that you have the M10. I mean, that's a cool camera. I'm envious.
That's what I said too. I replied back to his comment a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, well, great for you, man. The M10P is like a really, really amazing camera. Like, I hope you have fun shooting it.
You're driving around with sports car photography. There. Good luck. That's awesome.
Yeah. So this guy, where are all the women? Why aren't there any women in the comments? All right. This guy says he's he says the company doesn't, or so he's talking about the white Leica again. The company doesn't make a huge amount of profit on the product simply because they don't compromise quality. If I had money, I would have bought the white Leica to appreciate what Leica has done for photographers over the last century. And so, I mean, I feel like I have a lot of appreciation.
Well, I don't disagree with that, and I've owned a bunch of Leicas. I've owned probably 10 different Leicas from the M6 up to digital ones. Like, I love those cameras. I'm not dissing on the cameras or anything. I'm just saying it's not very practical to have a special edition white Leica camera. I'm just saying. I mean, it's pretty. It's cool. I love it. If I had the extra bucks to have it sitting on a shelf, I'd do it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you have some extra money, maybe you go out there, buy their $15,000 camera and keep them alive. Maybe if you got the money to help keep them alive, that'd be cool. But at the same time, like, you got to understand that just because you have the Leica and the cool glass and whatever, and it's harder to get the shots, doesn't necessarily mean you're making better photos. Yeah, exactly. That's a disconnect that can be. Yeah, I think that was kind of our whole point on that little news clip and stuff. All right, so. This guy says, like the discussion format, the RZ67, though, uses a battery for the electronic shutter, doesn't have a that's my bad. I said that wrong. I thought that it did, but it turns out that it is actually needing of a battery. Yeah, the first one isn't, so maybe that's why it's more popular with some photographers. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, he liked the format. He just corrected us on that one thing. So I think...
you know,
I did read that
yeah,
comment. Yeah,
yeah. Thanks for coming back and following up, and
I
yeah,
haven't had that thing for a while. It's been a few years.
like I said, yeah, like
that
a
one.
lot of those videos were just discussion format and going off the top of our heads. So.
Yeah, thinking back in the past.
Yeah.
In our hazy Colorado past. Sometimes it can be tricky to remember things.
All right. So, all right, we're almost through all these comments here. We have one more. So, I don't want to pronounce this guy's name wrong, so I'm going to kind of skip over it, but you know who you are if you're watching this video. He says, does IBIS, which basically makes the sensor dance around and wiggles very frequently, breaks the sensor? I'm not sure English is this guy's first language. He's not. It's kind of.
I mean,
broken.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, that seems like it's hard on the sensor.
Oh well, he's saying like cameras have had IBIS for a long time, and you know with the EF RF mount that would like typically go back and forth.
Goes back and forth.
Yeah, he says maybe we had a bad point on that, but I don't know.
But maybe not. I mean, time will tell on that one. Still, it's
interesting to think about. I mean,
anytime you add more mechanical parts, you're likely to have more breakage. Like that's just something we know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you know adding that EF RF mount that goes kind of back and forth. I can definitely see your point on it, how it could possibly become like uncalibrated or something. But the other thing I was also thinking
that was a common kind of problem with some Canon cameras in the past. Yeah. And as a past Canon shooter, if I was still shooting the Canon with a giant case full of Canon lenses, I would really appreciate that camera. Like I'd be really thankful that they did that because now I can shoot them both.
Yeah, you know, and if I was a Canon shooter, I would have wished that they would have came out with that first, basically. Instead
that's what that was my gripe. I was like, why didn't you do that first? You would have, like, you probably wouldn't have lost both of us.
But yeah, I was thinking about that calibration thing, and also on mirrorless cameras, basically there's no sort of calibration stack to calibrate. So like,
really?
Yeah. So I was also thinking about that actually after we recorded the video. So I was like kind of thinking about that, and I was like, so on mirrorless cameras, it's basically the sensor seeing exactly. There's not a separate AF sensor or whatever. It's all on sensor, and so it's kind of focusing exactly to what the camera sees. So I don't know if it like came off a little bit or got like unadjusted, that if it would do that. But I mean, I think more mechanical things going on generally mean more things to, you know, it means that it might break or something. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like M6s, and M6s are still around for the most part, and they don't have too many issues, but just generally because they don't have very many moving parts.
That camera's rocking good.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we oh man, we just did 20 minutes of replying to comments. Do you want to talk about? We were planning to talk about a couple of services though that we use, and so yeah, like what's the service that you pay the most money for your business?
I think that, well, obviously, I would say it's the website. Like we probably pay the most to the website. Yeah, like the company that runs the domain and hosts the site and stuff. Because we have a pretty fast one that we use. And stuff. We use WP Admin for that. I think is what it is.
Okay.
Like WP something.
Yeah.
It works pretty good.
Yeah. I use like a $12 website, $12 a month, and then I buy my domain, you know, for like 3 years at a time, and that typically costs like $60 or something. So, my most expensive service though is definitely insurance. So like
insurance, that's an excellent.
Yeah. So that's my biggest like business expense. Besides, well, I mean that is my biggest.
Other than the cameras and equipment.
Yeah.
Computers and cameras.
Yeah, it cost me around $37 a month for insurance. So that's a big one. You know, you go down from there. You got like image hosting. That's my probably like the third or fourth biggest expense that I have.
Yeah, and you use Pixieset for that.
I do. It's $16 a month, so I actually pay more for Pixieset than I do for my website,
But it's not like you can't have unlimited for that amount, right? Like you have a limited amount of storage.
Yeah. So I have 200 gigs that I can have there on.
So I use SmugMug, which is a little bit more. I think I pay a year annual fee. I think it's $325 a year, so maybe it's twice as much. Like you probably pay like $180, $200 maybe a year. So it's a little bit more, but I get unlimited storage, and I've had all my photos up there for my whole career. Like every wedding I've ever done is up there from like 10 years of weddings. So that's pretty cool. And like, I think the next most expensive expense that I have all the time is probably Lightroom, like to pay to Adobe.
Yeah, $10 a month.
Fee. Like we need that. Can't really function without Lightroom and Photoshop in our world.
Yeah. How much do you spend on services a month? I spend, I think, $110 per month.
On like regular services. I have a
Yeah.
little bit more than that, like the internet, the phone, stuff like that adds up. You know, that's all in the business. So that all adds up.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably say that the
Yeah.
business expenses to keep the lights on with advertising and everything is probably like $1,500 a month, $1,000 a month.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta, I think like services can be really, really handy, but I think I've talked about this before, but you know, I think business creep is sort of the same as like lifestyle creep sometimes. So,
Some
yeah.
of those can be really good. Like for a while there, I did a service called Shoot.edit, which cost
Yeah.
me about $3,000 or $4,000 a year. But they did all the color correcting and cropping and culling and everything, and they just sent
Yeah.
you back the wedding and you delivered it to people, and that was
Yeah.
a big life advantage. Like sure, you got a little bit of money suck, but you got way more life back. Like
Yeah. If you can outsource your editing, then you can save uh, a lot of the frustration of wedding photography. I'd
yeah, a
say.
lot of the wedding.
I
photography
never really
frustration's
have
gone.
any frustration shooting weddings or
Yeah, the
anything,
wedding
but
days are pretty good.
yeah, I mean, I think the reality of a lot of wedding photographers is you're actually just like at home a lot on your computer, and then
Right.
trying to stay on there for 8 hours is probably the most miserable part of
So
wedding
you're like
photography.
trying to figure out how to escape it sometimes. You're like going to coffee shops all the time, working on your computer, or
Yeah,
sitting on
yeah.
your sofa, and then sitting at a desk, and just trying to feel like you're somewhere else sometimes.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
you've been
yeah.
basically hunkered down at a computer for
Yeah,
10
you're
hours a
describing
day.
exactly what I do.
Yeah, that's
so,
how it goes, man.
Yeah.
It's the same for all of us, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of constantly changing for me. Like I'll switch from like iMac some years to laptop, and then I don't know.
iPads and back to iMacs.
Yeah, now I'm back to iPads again. They just improved Lightroom Mobile, so I'm like actually doing most of my editing
I
on.
still really like my iMac. It's the controllers that I got all figured out and mapped out. I just still really like that.
Yeah, well, the thing is like it works, and like you don't really need to change it, and so it's kind of like I'm being like a. Like you just have to get the task done. It doesn't really matter how you get it
Right.
done, and so like an issue I always run into, like depending on the year, is like is how I get my editing done. So I like I know I have to get it done. I know that like
It's going to use a lot of my time. So
it's
if
going
I
to use
could
a lot
do
of my time.
If I do it well, I could save some time and be happier.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm constantly trying to switch it up because my fucking desk in my in my apartment, if I sit there for too long, I just start to get a little bit
Yeah,
stir
you just get a
crazy.
little
So
wacky. Especially,
I'm
it's
like,
not so bad for
yeah.
a day. People like are like, okay, for a day or two, but like when
Yeah.
it's weeks and weeks on end, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
in Colorado and it snows for a while, and you just like get cabin fever, and all you're doing is edits.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
definitely trickier in the winters for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think possibly eventually, like, I'm gonna be able to move to an iPad, and then you just have this 1 pound device.
Yeah, that you could just throw in any
Yeah,
bag anytime.
But
always
yeah,
have with
speaking
you.
of services though, Adobe for their Lightroom CC or whatever, like not the classic one, they're trying to charge $10 per terabyte. So everything lives in the cloud, but their model is basically $10 for Lightroom.
That's
and-
actually pretty good because I'd say on a normal season I use about 3 terabytes, so that would cost me about $30 a year. Or a month,
$30 a month. Yeah,
plus the $10 I already pay.
yeah,
So 40. So we're talking $500 a month. That would be more than I
Yeah.
pay for SmugMug.
yeah. I mean, it would really add up. I mean, everything would be
But
backed
if
up.
they could do the hosting,
Well, the thing
then it'd
is
be worth
like,
it.
yeah, I mean, I think it'd be worth it if you could do everything on the iPad and then you didn't have to pay for a computer expense though.
and
So
if
like,
they did the hosting, so if you could cut out Pixie Set
oh yeah, got you. Yeah,
or SmugMug in my case.
yeah, cut out some other sort of service, but like as of right now, there's not really a way to like catalog everything on an iPad and then like they really want everything to
Right,
be
because
up in the
iPads
cloud.
just aren't really big enough, and so they want to
Yeah.
have everything up there. So you
And there's not a good way to
just
export.
get the previews on your iPad.
Yeah, and then
more or
there's not a
less.
good way to export onto a local disk either, and then you're still stuck with an iMac if you have to do that anyway.
Which
so
is why they should do the hosting of the final image. They already got it all.
yeah, I mean yeah, they're
All they have to do is move it to another server, probably.
yeah. I guess the cool thing right now is they don't count smart previews against your allotted
Oh, that's good.
thing. But yeah, if you want to, let's say you like shot a wedding and then you plugged in your SD card to your iPad here, you uploaded it and stuff, and your iPad only has 1,000 or one terabyte at most. Like that's the biggest iPad you can even get, and then you shot 256 gigs or whatever. And then all those go up to the cloud. That's 1/4 of your $10 a month cloud storage. And then
So you can use it up quick.
yeah, and it seems like they really don't want you to kind of offload it anywhere. Like it's kind of like once it's up in the cloud, it's like backed up everywhere and it's there. But they kind of want you to either delete the photos, and they don't really want you to like download them locally. Like it kind of seems like so.
Well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice not to think about that aspect of it, but at the same time, like you want to own your photos. Like it's tricky. That's a tricky one.
Yeah, with all these services, I've been thinking more about what I actually own. So like I own my hard drives that I buy and stuff, and so like those are generally like you unplug them and then you just like put them off. You're not paying like every month for hard drives or whatever. And so like once you're stuck in like an Adobe CC membership eventually, like if this is like where it goes, and then you decide like, oh, I'm gonna pay like $50 a month for all these terabytes or whatever.
Right, you're just gonna have to keep paying them more and more, and you're going to be stuck in their system forever.
Yeah, and you're kind of stuck in the system, and then you're kind of slave. Like you don't really like kind of own your images at that point in a way. Like you don't own them locally, and then you're paying to have $50 a month potentially.
Basically, just house them for you.
To house them for you, yeah, which is kind of crazy. So it's like
but it would probably
it's almost
be
like not
really
owning
beneficial
your photos
for a lot of photographers who aren't really technically able, or that don't have a lot of hard drives, and they don't want to have that complicated backup system that you and I have that just want it up there.
Or if you're an amateur photographer and you don't even own a computer, like
exactly,
like $10 a month for a terabyte, and then you just delete the photos you don't like.
But for us as photographers who sell our images to clients and get them printed in magazines and do a million things like that with them, we want to have them. We want our hands to be able to touch something tangible that says that they're in here. Like
yeah. And it's you own them more at that point. But yeah, let's go on to break and get back into news here in a minute. Photo footage is currently on break. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you every Sunday for a new photo footage podcast. Now back to photo footage.
All right, 2020, what's happening in the world?
All right. So I got kind of an exciting thing to share from Apple, which is interesting because Apple always seems to kind of cater towards, I'd say, consumers and making things look cooler, making things work really well in the world. So like a couple of years ago, they released a couple of new laptops, and they were overheating and stuff, and they couldn't actually get the full performance of the not sensors, the chips in them. Processors, yeah. And so basically this new update, they said it's in a Catalina beta update. They see some coding for it. It's going to allow the fans to spin a lot faster and make a lot more noise, and it might decrease battery life in laptops. But Apple seems to be giving pro users more and more options to kind of do more pro things. It seems like they're starting to focus more.
Overclock the processor basically. So it's going to get hotter, and it's the fan's going to have to spin faster to cool it off.
Yeah, so like right now,
it's going to get a little noisier.
Yeah, right now, basically PCs, they're able to go faster at like faster speeds because they don't care how loud the fan is. And so this kind of allows like pro users who might be doing like video work or VR work or something, anybody who's not just working in a Word document and browsing Safari all day, to kind of which is most
get really hot, and like I just wish it would go faster. Like so that's nice. Is it going to be retroactive for everybody? Is that what it says? It's just going to be on the next version.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to
install the next version of OS.
Well, I mean, right now they're testing it in Catalina, so they found coding for it in Catalina, and so if you are on a laptop specifically, even an iMac, they really do try to keep the iMacs quiet too. More so like a laptop, so your computer should get a little bit faster if you don't mind the fan noise. Personally, I don't think I would turn it on. I mean, I appreciate my computer being a little bit quieter. I think it's actually.
I bet you there's a couple months in the year where I would turn it on.
You think so?
Well, when you're really just having a lot of work to do, there's like some parts of the season where I have like maybe a couple of months where I just got to get a lot of work done.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe during that part, if it was something I could just flip the switch on, but if it was something I just needed to be on all the time, I probably wouldn't do it either because it's going to affect the longevity of the computer if you turn up the speed and it gets hotter and the fan spins faster.
I mean, ideally, like it should not get any hotter because the fan's going to be going faster. So I'm sure Apple's going to clock it.
But the processor itself is going to get hotter. Like, so maybe the encasing and the overall device isn't, but the processor is going to get hotter because it's doing more tasks.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the cooling system is better and the fan is spinning faster, then the processor shouldn't get any hotter because the fan should be basically alleviating all that all that extra hotness that you would be carrying. But
maybe. I mean, like, I don't have that much experience with it in
yeah,
the
I just know,
nowadays because
yeah,
like I've been an Apple user for
yeah,
so long. But like a long time ago, in the PC days, we used to overclock our processors all the time and essentially do the same thing.
yeah,
And they wouldn't last nearly as long.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess like. I think it's cool that they're doing this, but I do appreciate Apple for kind of like the ease of use and things that they do,
Yeah, and there's
like
some
not
stuff you just don't
making,
think about.
yeah, not
Them.
making a computer, way louder for 10% more performance or something. Like
Right.
I think like like they actually kind of have it right. Like they shouldn't make the computer be like super super loud like these like ginormous like PC laptops or something. I think that's kind of ridiculous, and that's part of the reason I like Apple. Like I like this iPad because it has no fans, it's light, it doesn't make noise and
It
stuff.
doesn't burn me.
It doesn't burn me
It
very
never gets
much.
too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. They
yeah.
definitely that part's really good, but it's also
Yeah.
sometimes would be nice. So hopefully it'll be just a button push. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Thanks, Apple.
Yeah, I'm sure people on YouTube will be commenting on this and testing it and stuff. I can imagine 1,000 tech videos coming out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, just people like trying to figure out like
Geeks geeking out, man. Geeks
Yeah.
geeking out. All right, cool.
Yeah,
What else is happening in the news this week?
Yeah. Computers are just tools, though. I mean, if you really need 10% more performance, then cool. But if you don't, then like don't geek out about it too much. I mean, just do your thing. It's a tool to deliver your photos or whatever.
It'd be cool if there was an on-off switch. They could control it.
Oh yeah, yeah. You will be able to control it.
I'm in.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
Yeah. So I thought this was really cool. So Hasselblad is coming out with the lightest medium format lens ever. It's a 45 millimeter f4 lens. So it should be.
So what does that come out to? Like
I think it would be about 2.8. So.
But what focal? So it's like a 35 millimeter.
I'm trying to think. So 45 would be like 35.
Like a 35.
Like a little bit longer. I think I'm trying to.
Somewhere between 35 and 45. Well, I think it's
so a 55 on these medium format sensors is 43 millimeters.
Someone has the same sensor as the GFX and the.
Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, 45 is because I shot the GFX 45 millimeter and it was pretty much 35.
Yeah, I had that lens too, actually.
Yeah, we should know this.
No, yeah. So yeah, I think it's a 35.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be. I mean, that would be 35, and it's an f4, so 2.8. You say Bokeh equivalent. I mean, that's what you need.
Yeah, I love the way this. Yeah, this lens is really beautiful too. I was looking at these pictures right here, and
I mean, it's on a Hasselblad. I mean, it should be pretty nice.
I think the Hasselblad is a pretty cool looking camera, and just having if I owned a Hasselblad X1D, like I think it's like probably the most like sleek looking camera like this.
Cool camera.
Like the X1D and Leicas are probably the most aesthetically pleasing cameras out there.
And probably
right now.
like the most world known, like most. You know what I mean? Like most people know, like
most
Hasselblad, like renowned,
most like famous camera brands. Yeah.
I mean, Hasselblad went to the moon.
Yeah.
People never forget about that.
Yeah, for sure.
If I had like a ton of extra cash and I was looking to have another medium format system, I'd probably jump on board with that. I think that camera is really cool looking.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know the sensor works.
Yeah, I guess the downside is I mean, of course, it's always going to be with these X1Ds, like as of right now, it's going to be the contrast-based AF systems, but...
That's the kind of the Achilles heel on those systems is like the autofocus on it isn't super fast and it's not super accurate.
Yeah, with the GFX, I had, issues focusing in backlight and stuff.
Backlight and low light.
Yeah, I just ended up shooting manual focus all the time on the GFX.
Like I had on the GFX, I had the 110, which was like the 85, the 110 f2, which was like the 85 equivalent, and that thing was a beast to move all those lenses around and stuff, and it was focusing and hunting. It was just frustrating to use. Yeah,
I remember going to test it out, and in any backlight, like with like the 63 millimeter, it didn't really matter which lens you had on there. It would really seem like it was in focus in the EVF and stuff, and then you get home and like half of your photos were like out of focus. But yeah, same autofocus system.
Once it gets to more like the point where these sensors can do face detection well, like
they just need face
use
detection.
Them for sports and stuff. Like,
that'd
be great.
Yeah, in the GFX 100, that thing finally has face detection.
Detection.
That's a like $15,000 camera though. So
yeah, that's a pricey machine.
Yeah,
but that's gonna just make it cheaper. Like as
eventually
more and more available.
it'll come down and stuff, but yeah, I mean, still like the X1D with a nice 320 gram medium format 45 millimeters sounds like really fun to shoot. Like
if you're a travel guy, that'd be killer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, really beautiful setup. It's gonna look really cool. It's gonna
you wouldn't even need
be
any
really
other
light.
lenses. You could just shoot that one lens.
For sure.
Just have that one camera.
yeah, really beautiful in these photos. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I don't know. Do you wish more camera manufacturers would pay more attention to aesthetics or?
I feel like they do, but it's like they feel like that's the aesthetic of what they made in the past and what their consumers want and stuff. I feel like they really do.
Yeah.
Even Canon, like when they made the DSLR style, they hired like some like crazy Italian designer or something to make it all sleek and stuff. And now we think of it as kind of like being sort of boring. It's like the beige of photography cameras. You know?
I think of like Canon DSLRs, and they've kind of been the same since like the EOS 1. Like they don't look that much different.
When they came out, like they were thought of as really sleek and beautiful and new and stuff because it was like a way different design. But now you look at it and you're like, eh.
Yeah,
I
feel like too many buttons on a lot of cameras. Too much sort of unnecessary styling sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think just like Leica and Hasselblad are just kind of the cameras to go with if you just want a really beautiful camera. But
and you just don't have any kind of budget constraints. I mean, if you look at realistic budget constraints though, and you start comparing it, you realize that maybe, I mean, you don't have a Hasselblad or a Leica.
I don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, the reason I don't have a Hasselblad or a Leica is because I mean, I throw my cameras around all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's other things that go into play than just how beautiful a camera is or how great its pictures are. Like, some practicality too.
Yeah, for sure.
But the people that are shooting the Hasselblad Pro system like that are either really rich or they're really pro.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I just wish other camera manufacturers would make things a little bit prettier, but that's me. I like.
Well, that's because I mean I like the way my Fuji cameras look. I think they're pretty. I don't feel like that like they compromise too much from what I want it to look like. I look at my cameras like, oh man, my cameras are so cool looking. I never feel like it's aesthetically disappointing to me. But it's a throwback to old styles that everybody still loves. That makes you nostalgic when you look at a Fuji camera, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like Hasselblad and Leica are more beautiful than a Fuji. I mean,
it's more expensive. It's more refined.
Yeah,
and there's more heritage.
Yeah, and sort of.
But again, there's the practicality,
less
aspect,
features,
you know?
and I suppose like Hasselblad X1D, they can do things like being like, oh, like we're only gonna have a touch screen on here, and then like you can adjust like shutter speed and aperture, but then like everything else is like touch screen, which is like more aesthetically pleasing than like a lot of.
But it's more cumbersome to use still for me as a guy who's used to buttons and comfortable with the tactile feel of a camera.
Yeah,
I don't want to hunt through screens or push buttons on the back of a touchscreen.
Yeah. If you're a pro, but
you know.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, I like to admire beautiful cameras, and I think a nice small Hasselblad X1D with
that'd be a cool camera
small lens. Yeah.
If you got it, and you're thinking about getting that new Pancake lens, you're lucky. I envy you.
All right. So yeah, more Canon rumors every week. We were here with the Canon rumors. We might as well
Canon's starting to put it together. They're starting to get a kit that people want.
Should we just change our YouTube channel to just like Canon rumors, like
the Canon stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, Canon's got a whole lot of stuff they got to make for this new camera system.
People are very interested in the Canon stuff still. You know, every time we have some sort of Canon video, they tend to get lots of views. So it's interesting that.
Well, Canon's coming out with some interesting stuff. I mean, they're coming out with some of the old stuff like that they've already had in the past. They're just like reiterating it for the mirrorless, but they're also coming out with some new stuff. It sounds like.
Yeah, so they got the like a Pancake apparently coming in the first half of 2020, and
for
then
the mirrorless, right?
For the mirrorless RF mount.
And what's the millimeter on it?
It is going to be a 45 2.8. Or sorry, 42.8.
42.8.
Yeah, so
that makes sense. That's kind of what they already have.
Same old thing here, and then directly after that, they're going to finally come out with an affordable lens for people just getting into photography, people buying into the RF mount. Assuming they should have some cheaper cameras by then too, hopefully for amateurs who want to shoot the RF mount. I think that could be pretty good for a lot of people. Nifty 50s nowadays are actually pretty good. Like
yeah, that STM they had for the DSLR was sweet. I actually, you know what I liked? I would use that lens for as like my travel everyday run around lens, and that's probably what they made it for this for too. Like
I mean
gets it done.
Yeah, basically you got a cheap lens with some depth of field, and if you're just shooting for Instagram or something, who's gonna really be able to pixel peep the difference between that and an expensive?
You get lots of pictures you still love, and you can get the depth of field you want still.
Yeah, just kind of depends on what you're posting to too. So
Yeah, what are you gonna do with the
Yeah.
pictures? But if it's just for your everyday life, that's what I used to use it for.
Yeah, and then yeah, so good on them for updating some of this stuff. It seems like people should be pretty happy who shoot RF mount for some
Yeah, now they
cheaper
don't have to
options
put
too.
some crazy adapter on their
Yeah,
camera. They can get these lenses and hit the ground running.
yeah, and so the other news is that they're going to be updating the 135
So
millimeter,
that
and
news I'm very interested in.
yeah, it used to be an f2, so I shot the f2 a lot back in the day. It was a good lens. It was relatively cheap for an L series lens too,
It was.
and this new one is supposed to be 1.4. That's what all the rumors are saying. Is they have a patented
faster.
lens element grouping in this article that I was reading. So it seems pretty legit. Seems like it's
That
going to
was
be something.
maybe my favorite or second favorite,
Mm.
like kind of bokeh getter for the Canon system. Like I own like
Yeah.
probably 5 of those because I broke them or I dropped them or I like I loved that 135 lens. So
Yeah.
knowing that got updated to a 1.4 is really interesting to me. I would if I was shooting that system, I'd buy that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, sounds like end of
Think
2020
twice.
it should be coming, and I don't know. I think the other consideration with the 135 millimeter 1.4 is that it's going to be extremely heavy. I don't know if I would buy it just because it's going to be very big, very heavy. It's going to be
Yeah, but if you don't have, if
terrible
you
to.
love the 135 or you want something like that and you already shoot that system, you don't have
Yeah,
any other
if we're
choice,
just going
really.
off of personal taste, I mean, yeah, I mean, I would rather have a stop down lens or whatever, like an f2.8 135 that was lighter, but
But you wouldn't have that option. The only other option you'd have is to like take the
to
old
adapt the
135 and adapt
135.
it, or get the camera that has the adapter built
Yeah,
into it.
I suppose I'm just commenting on what they did here, and I mean, I wouldn't be like too excited
It's
myself.
cool though because they innovated and they made something that was different than their old line, so they're not just taking the old formula that they've been. Because that old one they've been making since like the 90s,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they've just been reiterating.
It's probably going to be lots more elements in
Actually,
it. It's going to have less chromatic aberration. That one did have some pretty bad chromatic aberration.
yeah.
I mean,
I have 2 at 135.
Yeah.
It's pretty
yeah.
pretty
I
pro
mean,
to it.
yeah. I don't need any more bokeh under f2 at a 135. It's already crazy shallow. I mean,
I would think that maybe it'd be good though if you were a sports shooter because you just get a little more speed, faster shutters.
yeah. If you're like doing like indoor sports or something,
Yeah.
but
But the depth of field is going to be
is the
so
Canon camera?
shallow.
Yeah, is the camera going to be able to hit an f1.4 though? That's
I
kind
don't
of
know while people are running
yeah.
around and stuff. Hopefully.
Yeah,
I don't know. Time will tell.
yeah. But man, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of these mirrorless things coming out from Canon are very very heavy, very big, and like why not kind of create something a little bit smaller that feels nicer on the smaller camera body? I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
yeah.
I would be into it if I shot that system.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I guess
definitely get
like yeah, anybody out there. So we both don't shoot Canon currently, and
Right.
we did shoot the EF mount back in the day. But yeah, anybody out there who's seeing these Canon lenses come out, they keep on getting bigger and bigger, and it kind of seems counterintuitive to the mirrorless camera form factor. Do you guys like?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you're still saving weight on the camera body.
But I guess if you're gonna like completely do away with the DSLR system and the DSLR is dead,
yeah,
they're gonna need a bunch of different types of mirrorless cameras to fulfill a bunch of different photographers' niches. Like you don't want a tiny little mirrorless camera if you're like a sport shooter who's shooting like a 500 millimeter lens all the time. Like it
That's
seems
true.
kind of silly. So they're gonna come with different form factors, I think, to kind of fill in gaps for different types of photographers that still want it to be
Yeah.
a certain form factor.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think ultimately, like, I think a lot of these camera manufacturers are kind of thinking about it in a wrong way. So like ideally, you come out with like basically lenses that don't open up as wide, but they're lighter. You can carry them around
Well,
better.
that's what Zeiss did, and that's what Zeiss they kind of
Yeah.
put their whole
But yeah.
ideology behind. Let's make it
But
smaller
I'm saying,
and lighter.
yeah, if Canon was like, or let's just say like any camera manufacturer was thinking in a longer term, longer term thinking or whatever, like eventually like you're going to be able to bokeh out things, and the ISO is going to be better on cameras in let's say like 5 years. So you have a light lens that doesn't stop down as much, but then you can add more bokeh like an iPhone in like 5 years or whatever.
Yeah,
And so,
assuming that the processors catch up.
yeah. So I mean, I think that's something camera manufacturers should be doing like down the line here. So I think in like 5 to 10 years, like hopefully that's where it's going, where there's more software things
Well,
going
is
on.
the 135 going to be a lot bigger?
Yeah.
That makes sense. The
Yeah,
old
I mean,
135 is pretty small. I
yeah.
guess they're
So
planning on sports
yeah,
guys
they're
getting
going to
them.
be like I was looking at the patented thing. The old 135 had a pretty simple element layout, and this one has a lot more complex element layout. And then it also is obviously going to be getting a lot like wider too because of the aperture. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I mean maybe Canon will be coming out with more. I mean, it just seems kind of weird. I guess like I kind of want premium lenses that are stopped down more, you know, like, and so they kind of a lot of the RF lenses coming out, they're either L lens quality basically, or they're like cheapo and plasticky and
Right.
like
They're
not
either
not
really good or
marketed.
they're like the. It's kind of like how
Yeah,
Leica does it. They have like
yeah,
their Lux and then they have like their Crons. You know, like you either get like their best ones or you get like the ones below it. And a lot of
yeah.
companies are doing that and they're making like that cheaper tier.
Yeah, I guess like with like Leica though, like if I buy like a cron or something, I
You're still gonna
still
get crazy sharpness and
I
all that
know
kind of
it's like I
rendering.
don't I
Yeah.
feel like I'm just making a like a trade off in like with a lot of these other
Well, the
lenses
Fuji
like
ones are pretty good too because they make the two lines, and I have some of both, and some
yeah
of the F2 series stuff is really good.
yeah. Do you I mean do you like ever feel like basically I guess I would just want to think that I'm only losing like my aperture. I'm not losing like sharpness or any
Yeah, I
like
don't feel like I lose any sharpness on those lenses. I feel like
okay
that actually in a lot of
yeah
cases those F2 lenses are sharper because they have the newer coatings and they're newer
yeah.
designs than the older
I
lenses.
suppose a lot of it is just kind of marketing too. So like, you
Yeah.
know, like so Canon kind of markets like a nifty 50 or whatever
Mm-hmm.
towards like a beginner and like you think of it like
Yeah. Yeah, I think
y-
that's how Fuji does it too. But they
yeah,
their cheaper lens, like their F2 lens, is still really nice. Like it's still $400 or $500. It's not like so cheap as a Nifty 50. That's like $100 where they're trying to cut all corners and make it work, but really
yeah,
inexpensively. You know what I mean?
yeah. I like the middle ground. I like
Yeah, that's what these lenses
like
are.
a
They're like
five
that
hundred
middle
dollar
ground.
lens,
Yeah,
eight
that's what
hundred
these
dollar
are.
lens
They're
even.
like
Yeah,
that's how these are. They're mostly 400 to
yeah.
six hundred
If
dollars.
you pay like $100, $200 for that lens, then it makes you think like I'm not getting what I want out of this lens
Yeah,
probably.
right.
But
So yeah, it's nice that it's smaller, especially if you're like an event photographer or you're running gunner. You
yeah,
just
for
need to
sure.
save weight.
Yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's why some of these photography companies like Fuji are coming out with two lines, and of course Leica's done it forever, having multiple lines so you can get something that's a little less expensive that still delivers, or you could buy something that's really expensive and know you have the best thing.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the new equipment.
Yeah,
In
we're out of news.
2020, that's what's coming to be so far.
Yeah,
Canon's got a bunch of lenses coming out.
yeah, not too interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, gear is only so interesting to an extent. I mean, you kind of just get the lens that you like and get the other lens that you like, and then go ahead and shoot. But I don't
That's how
know.
you do it for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, some of us have lots and lots of lenses and lots and lots of cameras, and we can never seem to have enough.
Do you feel like that?
Most of the time, yeah. I always feel like there's something else I need or want, even
Yeah.
though I have way
Is it?
more equipment than I need. Or
Yeah. What do you want right now? Is there anything that you've been eyeing or anything?
well, I want whatever new super fast lens Fuji's coming out with this year. If they're coming out with
Yeah.
one, I was all stoked about the
Oh, okay.
35
Yeah.
and or 33, and then that stopped, and now they're saying there's going to be a 50. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm most stoked about, but I don't know if that'll happen or not.
Yeah. Do you feel like upgrading from the 56 makes sense? Do you feel like it's going to make
Oh, I
it's going to
wouldn't
make
get rid of
better
the
images?
56. You know
Yeah.
what I would actually do
Huh.
is in that case is I would get rid of the 50 f2 because I have the 50 f2, and then I would replace it with that, and I use that as the backup. But then I'd probably put my 35 1.4 as the backup and use that because it'd be a 75 f1. So I'd have
Yeah.
a 75 and an 85. But
Yeah.
I do all my weddings with two shooters, so
Hmm.
it's good to have those two perspectives at a wedding.
Yeah. How much more depth of field are you really going to get out of the new 50 millimeter? What is it? F1? Yeah,
Versus
F1.
the 85 f1.2, it's probably
Or
going to be
no,
a
versus
similar.
the 56 millimeter 1.2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Oh,
probably
okay.
going to be pretty similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just going to be a different focal length. But then they'll be able to make the claim that they have they have an
Well,
f1
yeah.
50
It's only going to
millimeter.
be a 5 millimeter difference of focal length, though.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
much. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'd like to see.
They'll probably do away with the 56. They probably won't reiterate it if they do that, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder if that'll be kind of like the update or whatnot. But
Guess we'll see it in the years to come.
yeah, I don't
So
know.
now,
I wonder if the 56 will be more of like a vintage looking lens, and that one will be like
do you
sharper
have
or
some
something.
gear for 2020 you're looking to buy? I know you're I know that you already bought something actually in 2020.
Yeah, gotta.
Minus the iPad, the new iPad Pro there. Do you have any other gear that you're thinking about purchasing for the season?
I mean, I have everything I need, but yeah, just I think if Zeiss came out with some new Batis lenses, I'd look at those.
Like
But
what? Like you got a 35, you've been missing the 35.
I mean, not really. I mean, I just went through all my Instagram posts. I just made 200 Instagram posts
So
for
what
the
would they
year,
have that
and
you'd
everything
want?
looks
Like they
good.
got a 40. That sounds interesting. What else is there in the range that you'd even
Yeah,
shoot? Maybe a
yeah.
100?
Um, well,
Probably not.
so like the 40 is like annoying to me. So they added a macro feature on it, which I don't need. Like I
Well,
really
what speed is the lens though?
it's f2, I think.
So it's still good.
Yeah,
It's not like it's 2.8. You can
but
still rock that.
yeah, it seems like it. I don't know. I do wish it was 35 instead of 40, and then I
But
feel
if
like
it's
the
macro, you could probably get some really cool shots because you get
mm,
up near stuff, right? Like with
mm,
some minimum focus distance, it's probably
yeah.
pretty close. I don't know. I don't have a Sony or any.
Yeah, I'm just not really interested in macro features. I've had a lot of lenses with macro features. It's kind of gimmicky and like I don't know, kind of over that. But I feel like the lens is like good if you wanted that macro feature too, but then it compromises bokeh in a couple of ways. I saw a couple of shout out Dustin Abbott. He
Oh,
really
hey, old Dustin.
yeah,
I
he
know
really kind
Dustin.
of goes into lens reviews and breaks it down really well and looks at like every single aspect of a lens. And with this 40 millimeter, the bokeh is compromised because of the macro capability. So
Hmm.
you're kind of getting a compromised lens just because they wanted to add this macro feature that I don't want into it.
So
But if I
Dustin wasn't impressed.
no, he
Hmm.
wasn't super excited, and
Well,
so yeah.
dude, I'll tell you, if I was you and I was shooting the Sonys, I would lust after those Lanthers. I think the Voigtlander makes them.
Hmm.
They've got some, and they're manual focus, but man, they look so cool. I've seen so many
Yeah,
cool pictures out of those lenses.
yeah,
They've got some cool ones, and
yeah,
it's
for
cool to
sure.
say my Lanther.
Yeah, I suppose like yeah, like when I go shoot personal work, I like to grab my 25 and my one camera and just go out the door. So it's like, and then
That's what I'm
like
saying. So, like, what
yeah,
other Batis lens would you even be interested in? Because
yeah,
they already have a bunch of those other focal lengths that you would
yeah,
use. Like, you had a 135, you had
yeah,
a 40, or you don't like the
yeah. I suppose
40.
I'm on a gear channel that, and I don't really like gear, so
You're all geared out.
yeah,
Well,
but
once you shoot so much of it, you realize, like, what you like is this, and you just want it all the time. And, like,
yeah,
sometimes it'll go through kicks. I bet you in a year or two from now, you'll be shooting something different, but it won't be that much different.
maybe, yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, yeah, let's wrap this up
Yeah,
here.
so
We're kind of
just
just
the end of the
yeah, the last
podcast here.
10 minutes of this was random and uh,
Yeah, some of the news that's happening in
yeah.
the world. Yeah, anyway, thanks for stopping by, checking out our
Nope.
podcast. We'll see you guys next week.